Hello beautiful people, Gypsy Soul Creation here, and today we are going to be jumping right into our second part of our three-part series. So in the last video I brought to you this fort that I created, and on this video I've cheated a little bit. I've already sketched out what I'm going to be burning today. So there's the design that I am going to be working on, going over all the tips and tricks and different techniques that I use to help you guys get started. And last but not least, we'll be diving into this one next time. That video will be out for next week. So if you guys ever have ideas of what you want me to burn, what you want me to touch on, feel free, comment below. Hit the subscribe button so that you're sure to catch any videos that I have coming out next. I just had a suggestion. Somebody wants me to do the lid of a whiskey barrel for their guest book for their wedding. I took the last suggestion and went back to the basics and shot a video on how to change out the tips, different shading techniques, things like that. So please guys, I always love to listen to what it is that you guys want me to dive into. So leave it in the comments below, hit the subscribe button, make sure that you catch every video that comes out, and let's dive on in. So you can see that I sketched this out with a pencil, and I'm using the universal tip on my burner. I'm going to use this for most of it, switching up with the pointed shading. So I'm just kind of diving right into the border, and it's really pretty simple, just giving it some curved lines here to add a little flow, a little movement to it. I'll go in later to add the shading for more of a two-dimensional and three-dimensional depth to it. We don't want it to look so flat and boring, right? So just kind of going around into the border all the way around, and like I said, keeping up with the flow of it. We really, this is to help you guys tap into your imagination. Don't be so rigid. Don't be so hard on yourself. Open your mind. Let it flow. Just kind of go with it. When I was sketching this out, I was just, changing it up, whatever was kind of coming to me, and just creating really a masterpiece that is right here on my first wooden spoon. So it's definitely a little more difficult, guys, working on something that has this curve to it. It's the first time for me working on a spoon. Some people love it. For me, a little more challenging to not only be able to get the right angle for you guys to see this on camera, so I apologize if some parts are more difficult to see than others, but also just to figure out how to hold this thing and how to really get your straight lines. Like here I'm going through the center and just adding some diagonal lines through here, and I have to kind of rock the spoon back and forth a little bit to really be able to keep my hand flowing. So always spin things around, move them around in your hands, try to get them in a more comfortable position. So now I'm just kind of tipping the point, the tip to the side, and kind of dragging it over these center little loops, these center little pieces to add the shading, but I don't want them to be black. I don't want them to be so solid and too much depth to them. So I'm kind of laying the tip down sideways and just kind of almost like a coloring with a crayon. I'm just kind of dragging over it and, going back and forth quickly. Of course, I speed this video up so you guys aren't bored by how long it actually takes, but just moving pretty fluently back and forth to kind of color them in with a nice depth to them, but yet not too dark, not too harsh. I want to keep, a little softness to it. So then moving into the next section, I have switched up a little bit to the pointed tip, and I'm just kind of dragging it. I'm kind of pulling it over this next design piece, and I'm going to go back over a couple of times. Again, keep it on. I always keep my heat around a 4, and I'd rather go back over it several times than to get a burn that is just too dark and I can't take back. So I'm going over, and you will see that as I go, I'm going to alternate. Some will be darker, some will be a little bit lighter. I'm going to alternate in this design pattern as I go around the circle, flipping the spoon back and forth so that it's more comfortable to kind of work on and try to keep my own hand out of my way while I show you guys what it is that I'm doing. So just dragging and swiping across these design pieces adds a nice texture to it without making it too solid. And with this pointed tip, you can really kind of get into those little tiny hard to reach pieces that the more rounded shader tip doesn't allow me to get into. So I'm back to the universal tip. This pen is wonderful for changing them out, guys. You can change them out very quickly with the special tweezers that come with it, and you don't have to worry about it being completely cooled off before you switch tips out. So I'm just kind of going around the center piece and really adding just some fine line work that I will hold. I promise I'll hold this spoon up and I will let you guys see exactly how it's turning out in just a moment, okay? So just kind of working on the line work around the center. I've taken a few little dots in the very, very center by just quickly touching the point down. You can create so many textures and so many shading aspects by the different way that you use these same tools. So they really, really are so universal, guys. They're wonderful to work with. Again, this tool in particular that I am in love with is the Walnut Hollow Creative Pen, and it's really made my life a whole lot easier. So this is the second piece to my 3-part series. I'm working on wooden utensils because I had a request for them from someone. So I'm kind of flip-flopping back and forth, and I'll bring to you in my next video the last piece. So with the pointed tip here, I'm shading around the edge and just kind of adding a little depth to it. I want to add a little texture, a little depth, so that, again, it kind of pops a little bit. You don't want this to look like such a flat piece. When you add that shading in, it gives it dimension, it gives it flow. It draws the eye in to those lighter pieces. So you don't want to leave so many light pieces that that's all you see. But adding the shading gives it that dimension. As you can kind of see here as I tip the spoon a little bit sideways, I'm kind of adding a little shading kind of below and then again on top. And it really brings the piece out, I have to say. So again, guys, you know, be creative with this stuff. Open your mind. Let the flow go. If you want to try to recreate what I'm doing, it doesn't have to look just like it. Put your own spin on it. Pick up a pencil and just start drawing on a piece of wood. See what you can create. This is therapy. This is getting out of this mindset that we need to be so in control of everything and so logical and so analytical, and this just lets your mind expand and lets you be so creative, and it really kind of frees it up. It brings a lightheartedness and so much fun just into your everyday when you sit down and you take the time to just simply create something. Create anything. Coloring, photography, whatever it is. So I have the pointed tip on here again, and as you can see, I'm just kind of laying it towards the tip, but yet on its side slightly, and dragging it to create little tiny, delicate lines that I'm doing through the top of this piece. The universal tip was just a little too big to get the smaller detail that I wanted to create in these little tiny fine lines. So that's why I switched back up to the pointed tip for some shading and for some line work, because it just really depends on what you're trying to accomplish here. Play around with these tips when you have them. Have fun with them. See what they can create by tipping them and leaning them in all different ways. So, you know, some of the lines I kind of laid sideways, some of it I used the tip for. So now I'm going to add a little shading and a little depth down towards the handle. To me, the eye needs to draw it from all of this heavy detail at the top of the spoon down into the handle. I don't want just a heavy, detailed design at the top and then have no flow to it. So I always add just a slight bit of shading kind of going down the handle, which kind of draws the eye. You can also kind of see right there in the center, I did 3 circles at the top, 3 circles at the bottom, which you will see, but I didn't draw a definite line around those circles. I actually used this tip here and I turned it slightly to its side and I created lines, which made up a circle. Instead of drawing an actual circle around it, I let the lines actually create the design, the circle that I wanted to show here. So, okay, I'm also going to go in and I'm going to add a little bit of shading work just around the outside of the border, around the bottom and around the top, which you'll see in just a second. Because, again, I need to add a little depth to this. We don't want it to be just such a flat piece. So just kind of using this pointed tip, the flat angle, I'm going in and I'm just very ever so lightly pressing and moving pretty fluidly, almost in a circular kind of motion to create just a little bit of depth. I don't want this to be as dark as what that shading going down the handle is. I just want it to add the depth to it. So again, just moving in a circular motion pretty fluently. Not quite as fast as this video, of course, because I did speed it up for you guys, but I'm going to kind of go around the border on the top and the bottom and add that light shading that just adds a little bit of depth. So I hope that you guys always enjoy these videos. I hope you guys get something. I hope you pick up some little techniques that you can use. Open your mind, expand it to the creativity that you can bring into your own life. This is therapy, guys. I'm probably going to jump into a session that's called art therapy, because to me, that is the true beauty of this. So I hope that you enjoy this segment. Again, I will come out with the second video, or the third video, the next part, soon. So enjoy, subscribe to my YouTube channel if you get something out of these videos, and have a beautiful, beautiful day. Much love and appreciation, guys.